Namaskar and welcome to Sunset Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show Perspective, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues. Today we're going to talk about the Central Bureau of Investigation. Now, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personnel, Public Grievances, Law and Justice has recommended that there is a need to enact a new law and define the status, functions and powers of the CBI, that is Central Bureau of Investigation, and also lay down safeguards to ensure objectivity and impartiality in its functioning. Now, highlighting withdrawal of general consent for CBI probe by many states, Parliamentary Committee in its recent report has said that the existing law, Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, governing the Federal Probe Agency CBI, has many limitations. A parliamentary panel also said that every effort should be made to fill up the vacancies in the CBI at the earliest. As of now, 1,709 posts are lying vacant in the CBI against the sanctioned strength of 7,295, according to the committee. Now, the committee also recommended CBI to publish case statistics and annual report on its website. So today we will discuss and analyze various aspects of this report of the Parliamentary Standing Committee. What does it mean for the Central Bureau of Investigation, and what does the recommendation say in terms of changes which have to be brought in the law or in the agency as well? And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Satya Prakash. Is here with us in the studio. Legal editor, The Tribune, is joining us. Welcome, Satya, to the studio. And we also have two more distinguished panelists with us. Mr. M.L. Sharma, former Special Director of CBI, is with us. And so is Dr. Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, joining us. Welcome, both of you gentlemen, as well, to Sunset Television. I'll begin with you, Satya, since you must have had a close look at what the Parliamentary Standing Committee is saying. In essence, it talks about two aspects. One is bring a change in the law which governs CBI, and two, it talks about, increasing the strength and perhaps giving a more public face to the CBI in terms of making whatever case statistics are there and its annual report public.
Well, it talks about, most importantly, as you have mentioned, having a new law to govern the CBI, one. Because what has happened in the recent past, around 9 states have withdrawn the general consent given for CBI probe. And it is becoming much more politicized, because all the mainly opposition-ruled states, they are withdrawing consent and creating problems. In many cases, if you recall, in the case of West Bengal, CBI personnel, they were arrested by the state police and it was a huge uproar. And matter finally went to the Supreme Court, which had to intervene to settle the issue. So this is one. Second is CBI, they draw their cadre from various central police forces or state police forces. This has been a problem. I don't know whether which is the right course to be adopted, whether to go for a permanent cadre for CBI or keep on drawing human resources from various state forces or central police forces. That is two. Number three, which is much more important, because CBI has too many bosses. And this is because, starting with Lokpal, CBI is the nodal agency. CVC, again, is supervising CBI's work. DOPT, again, is works. And many of the officers who come from IPS cadre, they are supposed to report to Home Ministry for cadre-related certain issues.
Okay.
Apart from that, there are people who are drawn from state police forces. So finally, their loyalty remain with the state police forces, because beyond the deputation, they cannot stay back and they will have to go back to their parent state police.
Okay.
So there are too many bosses of CBI. So this is creating a scenario where too many things are happening and becomes very difficult to coordinate. This is, on the face of it, it looks as if it's a problem.
Okay.
But most important point, which I did not see anywhere, CBI was declared to be unconstitutional by Guwahati High Court in 2013. And what the High Court said, CBI was constituted by an executive resolution of April 1, 1963. And because of the fact that CBI carries out raids, it arrests people and it also prosecutes people, and people can be jailed and people can even face death penalty. Under Article 21, it's mandatory. No person shall be deprived of his right to life and liberty except according to procedure established by law.
Okay.
What the High Court said, CBI was not established in accordance with procedure established by law, because that would require some sort of parliamentary enactment, which was not there in this case. This is what the High Court said. That's a different thing. that the Supreme Court within few days state that verdict.
Yeah.
But this is a key legal question regarding CBI.
Okay.
But that also will get addressed automatically
if there is a new law governing CBI comes in. Now, those are very interesting, legal aspects there, and the issue of deputation also will go to that aspect. But let's first, talk about the limitations of the current act which governs, and who better than Mr. M.L. Sharma to take us through that. Mr. Sharma, you've been a Special Director with the Federal Investigative Agency. One thing which we would like to know, as the Parliamentary Standing Committee is saying, that there are many limitations in the existing law, existing act which governs CBI, that is Delhi Special Police Enactment Act. What are those limitations which the report is referring to, and what kind of limitations?
I was saying thank you very much for having me on your show. Okay. So now, as a backgrounder, I would like to say that CBI functions. CBI is only an administrative name, and the legal name of the CBI is DSPE, Delhi Special Establishment. So therefore, there is no legal infirmity, as was pointed out by the Guwahati High Court, in the sense that whenever an FIR registered or charge sheet is filed, in practice CBI is that they say CBI stroke DSPE or DSPE stroke CBI. So that legal handicap is not there. But the real handicap of the CBI is in terms of its jurisdiction. Because even if you are a central government employee and you are posted in a state, say, Jalandhar or Tamil Nadu, whatever, even an IAS officer, IPS officer, or income tax officer, etc., CBI cannot take up the investigation against that individual, even when he is a central government officer, unless there is a consent of the state government concerned. And this consent is granted under Section 6 of the DSPE Act. Now, that is the real problem. As you yourself said, 9 states have withdrawn consent one after the other, and therefore entire investigative procedure or process has been stymied by this act. According to me, it is a very short-sighted policy of the state governments, but they have done it for political reasons. This is the real handicap. As far as other recommendations of the Parliamentary Standing Committee are concerned, administrative and all that, that doesn't require any change of law. And as far as the straightforwardness or the objectivity of investigation is concerned, again, it's not a legal issue. It's an issue which is concerned with the kind of personnel from the highest to the lowest that you induct into the CBI. They are very simple issues.
Okay.
The real issue is the jurisdiction. Now, we have a federal setup, so the states say that police and law and order is a state subject, and therefore you can't do that. Except for trap, for which consent is not required because of administrative arrangements, CBI, without the consent of the state government, can't register a disproportionate asset case or any other case against an employee, even when he is a central government employee posted in a state. This is the real issue.
Okay.
Now, the crux of the matter is to overcome this problem. I am of the opinion that this problem has been largely overcome in the NIA Act, National Investigation Agency Act. There, terrorist-related 8 offences have been brought in the exclusive and direct jurisdiction of CBI. So some such kind of mechanism has to be evolved. But again, I say it's a constitutional issue and it has to be examined in depth. So I welcome the new act, but I'm apprehensive that the new act, new law, whenever it comes, is going to be old wine in the new bottle. Unless they change the wine and make it new on that,
Mr. Sharma, we'll have to wait and watch as to what new act and new law comes in, but what the Standing Committee is saying, and in that particular issue of, jurisdiction and consent, I'd like to take that to Dr. Vikram Singh here. Dr. Singh, you have led, the state police force in Uttar Pradesh, and here, as Mr. Sharma was pointing out, the issue of consent, that's one, the issue of jurisdiction here as well. How does it play out? That's one. And how big, in your view, how big is this an impediment or a limitation in the current act which governs this federal agency, CBI?
This is a major flaw and an infirmity in the system that 9 states could get away by the fact they say that the general consent has been withdrawn. Obviously, what used to work in 1941, the SPE Act will not work any longer. And therefore, a total makeover has to be required. And the Parliamentary Committee, in its wisdom, has recommended that this has to be done. I agree with Mr. Rebel Sharma that the NIA has been able to overcome this infirmity that they do not require the concurrence of the state if they are designated offences. Likewise, Section 6 of the DSPE Act is an anachronism and which must go. If there is a corruption case or a designated case, the CBI, as a federal investigating agency, should have the authority without the consent of the concerned state, because there is more of politics, Mr. Vishalji, than administrative expediency. Therefore, I would say it takes the form of many other ways, that non-cooperation with the CBI. What happened in West Bengal is nothing short of an administrative nightmare. And therefore, it is best that these things are taken into account and smoothened out in a manner through a new law.
Okay.
That all these infirmities are set right and there is no looking back. But to have a CBI which cannot operate in 9 states is making a mockery of the investigating in itself. And therefore, the framers of the law would do very well to ensure that any such whimsical act by any deviant state is made infructuous by statute itself.
Okay. That's what the committee's recommendations, the essence of those recommendations is as well. But as both the gentlemen are pointing out, Satya, I'd like to take your views on that. That is the NIA Act sort of a model act on which, on the lines of which changes can be brought to the law which further governs Central Bureau of Investigation, because that is also a federal agency which works on a national level, dealing with the specific issues vis-a-vis terror threats.
Well, NIA Act, the best part is that the offences are categorized as such. So automatically, the moment something happens of that nature, NIA takes over. Here, it is depending upon the consent. I'm not sure whether corruption relating to central government alone should the CBI cover, which is the case right now, or corruption in general should be the CBI's jurisdiction. But in both the cases, it should be clear in the Act itself. Any corruption relating to the central government employees should be covered by CBI irrespective of geographical boundary of state.
Okay.
That is one. Second, depending upon the wisdom of Parliament, it can go ahead and say corruption as such shall be an offence which the CBI can investigate.
Okay.
In both the cases, there needs to be clarity. I don't know, because making corruption as such an offence which the CBI can probe, that would require huge number of personnel for CBI, because covering entire India, all the corruption cases in all the state governments, that would require huge personnel. So I suppose at least regarding central government employees, there should be clarity that they would not require any state government's consent.
Okay.
If there is an offence, as Mr. Sharma has pointed out, even if central government employee is committing something wrong, you need the state's consent if that is there in a particular state.
Okay.
So that requirement must go, and there should be clarity in the Act, because that will save much of time, resources, and litigation more than anything else.
Litigation.
States and most of the time CBI is going to court.
Make the process more smoother.
More smoother, and because the purpose is to check corruption and having a corruption-free society, so that will lead to achieve that goal.
The process is not stalled or stymied rather, as Mr. Sharma was pointing out. Let me bring in Mr. Sharma again here. Mr. Sharma, another aspect, sir, of this report, and that is equally important. That's the issue of manpower, the issue of strength. The CBI draws most of its strength from the state police or CAPF as well on deputation. The issue of deputation. Now, the Parliamentary Committee says that they have, in earlier recommendations, also said that there should be, direct recruitment to the CBI. The CBI seemingly is not very much in favor of that. But deputation, the only way, or perhaps a mix of deputation and direct recruitment as well. What's the best way forward? Because there are almost, 1,000 posts still vacant in the Central Bureau of Investigation as of now.
Vishalji, on the basis of my 18-year-long experience in the CBI, I would say that mix of deputationists and the direct recruits is the ideal situation. But problem is that you can't exclusively have the deputationists because they are not ready to come to the CBI. Because in state police systems, there are a lot of perks and privileges and so many other things which they don't get in the CBI. Now, at the same time, to have exclusive direct recruitment is also a dangerous situation because CBI enjoys immense powers in terms of investigation, and corruption has become, in our times, corruption was not such a big issue, but now it has become a big issue. So therefore, there has to be a mix of deputationists and the direct recruits so that they keep eye on each other, and the whole gang doesn't kind of mix up and play foul. So therefore, ideally, both things should be there. But the state governments, the state police force officers are not coming. And frankly speaking, I know that central police forces and all that, they have good caliber. But even though I admit that investigation is not a nuclear science or missile science, but still it is, because a person who has been trained in paramilitary forces, all of a sudden he can't be converted into a good investigator. Ribeiro, that famous police officer, he said that it takes 20 years to make a detective, and even then there's no guarantee that you will always succeed.
Okay.
So therefore, it is only the state police forces, deputationists from state police forces, which are better suited to investigative purposes.
Okay.
But for that, unfortunately, there's a problem because they don't want to come to CBI because it's not very lucrative. So there's a mix. This was a very complex situation.
Okay.
So some way has to be found out by direct recruitment.
So the mix is the best way forward. That's what you're saying, Mr. Sharma. One more question I'd like to put to you here, and that's vis-a-vis the issue of what information does CBI put in public domain, because the parliamentary committee was very forthright in its recommendation, saying that all the case statistics and an annual report should be made public, which is as of now not done by the CBI. How can that be done, and why is it not being done right now?
Frankly, I totally agree with the recommendation of the parliamentary committee. You see, there has to be some kind of secrecy about the ongoing investigations. About statistics, there can be no secrecy at all. And therefore, it is very absurd situation that this is not being put into administrative domain. They should be done into public domain, sorry. But there's one paradoxical situation to which I'd like to draw your attention.
Okay.
You see, I was RTI Commissioner also, Central Information Commissioner, 5 years. Now, all police forces in the country are subject to RTI Act. But paradoxically, CBI is not. So therefore, CBI is basically a police organization. Police forces also investigate, CBI also investigates. There is nothing to distinguish. I would very strongly recommend that RTI Act should be made applicable to CBI. Okay. I want greater transparency. And as far as ongoing investigations are concerned, that they are protected in the RTI Act itself. Nothing more has to be done. Okay. It's a very absurd and paradoxical situation. Okay. I want more transparency. I want to bring about more transparency in the function of the CBI. Okay. Statistics, by no stretch of imagination, it should be stopped from publication.
Okay, fair enough. Dr. Singh, I could see that you were smiling when Mr. Sharma was talking about the issue of transparency there. So, of course, I'd like to hear what your views are on this issue. And of course, the other aspect, in terms of manpower, a mix of deputation and direct recruitment is the best way forward. Do you agree?
Absolutely, I totally agree with this view that the influx of new blood gives new dimensions, new talent, and of course, new ideas come into an organization, and therefore there is a healthy blend of the old and the deputationists. That, of course, is a standpoint I take. Now, coming to the fact that there will be very many people who would love to watch the CBI website and see what is the progress made in the investigation. It is easier said than done. The annual administrative report, by all means, yes. The tasks done, yes. Wanted and accused criminals list, yes. But to give the investigation plan in the sense that these are the investigations that are pending and this is the progress made. The progress made, just these two words are very, very explosive in their content and dimension, and they can. People would be waiting very, very eagerly to understand what the progress is being mentioned in the website. I would rather that my considered opinion is that progress need not be shared with anyone except the team of the investigators who have a right to know and who have a need to know. The general public, especially those who are accused, have no right to know as to what the progress is in the investigation, who are the investigators, and the other micro details also. This is my one point, and this is also, as far as the investigation is concerned, is as sacred and as secret and confidential as any investigation in the country would be.
You're right, Dr. Singh. The committee also is only talking about the case statistics and the annual report there as well. But quick concluding comment from you, Satya, before we wrap this up. The suggestion coming in from Mr. Sharma out there that bring it under the purview of RTI that resolves the issue of putting information in public domain. It has all the checklists.
In fact, to start with, CBI was within the purview of RTI, but then it was added to Schedule 2 of the RTI Act, and read with 24, it becomes out of the purview of RTI. With usual exemptions under Section 8(1), applicable to CBI, it should be made, it should come within the purview of RTI. Because in any case, ongoing investigations are not shared, they cannot be shared because they are part of the judicial process. But rest of the information, as has been recommended by the Parliamentary Standing Committee, regarding facts, figures, or maybe somebody wants to know how many people are working with CBI, at what level, and all these facts, figures, and along with annual report, it can be made public. There is no harm in, because transparency will somehow enhance the credibility of the investigating agency.
Of the organization out there. Thank you so much, Satya, for those views out there. And Dr. Vikram Singh and Mr. M.L. Sharma as well. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise, views and inputs from there. So as our experts were pointing out, various aspects of the governing of Central Bureau of Investigation, what the Parliamentary Committee has said in terms of bringing in a new law because the existing one has several limitations. What's the road ahead? That we will have to wait and watch and keep a track on these developments inside the Parliament. And we'll keep a close watch on other issues as well and come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Sunset Television. Thank you.